invite our next speaker, that is Ravi Kumar, who is the Senior President and Chief People's Officer with Page Industries. To give you a background, Ravi is a dynamic and seasoned professional with more than 25 years of extensive and well-rounded experience in human resources. He is best known for his contribution to the industries in India and overseas, and remains focused on building leadership capabilities, coaching challenges. And prior to this assignment, Ravi has proven success in capacity as a people culture senior leader, India, Middle East and Africa at the Roche Group, which has affiliates in India, Singapore and Middle East. Earlier, Ravi has led multiple HR leadership roles in 𝗙𝗵𝗋𝗄𝗏, Larsen & Toubro, and his peers associate holds him dear for his coaching, mentoring ability. And his focus on developing culture and talents within the organization is recognized. Can we welcome Ravi with big round of applause, please?
Can you hear me? Awesome. Who has got stuck in Bangalore traffic today morning? Everyone. All right. I'm here because the other speakers have got stuck in traffic, and that's why I'm speaking a little earlier than others. Sometimes Bangalore traffic is an advantage, right? But unfortunately, this doesn't happen in board meetings which I attend. My CEO always turns up first. And I always think if this guy gets stuck in traffic, that day we'll pass some of these HR topics and, get approvals very quickly, but it never happens. So this is one of those occasions where the traffic has helped, so very useful. So I'll speak a little bit about the future in terms of the workplace, but, after Mr. Pawan, this is nothing. He told us a lot about how the industrial revolution is moving forward. He also spoke a little bit about, how we look at people versus, what's happening on automation. So I think he's more or less covered everything. That makes my job very easy. And I'll also try and ensure that we speak a little bit about the mindset and the culture, right? Because he ended his last sentence, if all of us remember his slides, was about, it ends up in terms of the culture, in terms of people. So we'll try and focus on that, right? So two things, mindset and culture, you will see a lot of that on my slides. And I'll also try and focus on the HR function. A lot of us here are HR folks. Any CEOs here? No? Oh, great. So I'll have to be mindful when I say something about CEOs, right? Okay, awesome. I love CEOs. Okay. Great, wonderful, great. So we'll try and keep it short so that we also have some time for question and answer, right? So I call it HR 2.0. Actually, I don't call it HR 2.0. I have a chief information officer in my company who calls it HR 2.0 because he's the IT guy and he says, you guys are not going to survive in HR unless you guys change. So he's always trying to tell me that, we need to do this. I fully agree with him, but what I'd like to do today is to look at, what does that mean? And, why is HR 2.0 so important? Pawan spoke a lot about it. I'll add to that. How should we do it? Because I have a bit of experience with my previous organization where we did a bit of change in terms of the HR function, structure, process, transformation as well, and especially we focused on mindsets. And of course, the who are important when we look at a transformation within HR, if we want to move digital, if we want to be 2.0, and when should we do it, right? So we'll try and focus on these areas, and as we go along, please do put down your questions, and at the end, we'll try and take them, right? So like I mentioned, it's a three-pillar approach that I would recommend. One is looking at mindsets. Any change, any transformation, if you're moving to digital, moving anywhere, it's all about looking at a growth mindset. It's all about thinking in an agile way, right? And this is something that I think today you'll hear most of the speakers speak about. Very clear. Second is all about living the digital capabilities, right? We might want to change, we might want to move to something which is digital, automated, and Pawan spoke about how vehicles are now being manufactured. It's a very different process as compared to earlier, much faster. If we want to move there with people, then we have to change our minds in terms of looking at capabilities which are digital. Question is, do we have the capabilities within our HR functions? Answer is, and okay, I'll leave the answer to you, but my answer is Not really. Yeah, not really. I think we fare far worse than many other functions within the organization in terms of HR folks looking at data sciences or looking at, analytics, right? And analytics is something which is very much used, but within HR, I don't think we are where we are supposed to be. And the last part is about culture, and this is all about really looking at people decisions using digital, right? We've been doing this all along. A lot of us have been in HR for many years. We've been using data to take decisions, but today, the kind of data that we have, the kind of analytics that we have, and the kind of AI that one can use to reach decisions quickly, or even to reverse decisions quickly, is really profound. I don't think we are making full use of that capability, right? So we have lots of tools now which help us take those decisions, which earlier was left to the CHRO, the CEO, and maybe a few other people. Are you guys with me? Okay, wonderful. So far, so good. And the question is about why, are we closer to building those capabilities? Really, it's all about measuring. So it's all about measuring where we are today. Are we going to rescale? Are we going to upscale? So what are we going to do? So the whole idea is about using scientific tools to measure our skills and capabilities that we have today, right? HR is the first function to go and tell business that they need to measure and measure well, and then move to the next level. Let's apply it on ourselves. Yeah, so I think that's where we need to be. Agile methods, and a lot of this is now available to every function. HR as well can jump into something like this. I'll keep it at a high level and not go deeper here. Analytics, all of us know about. Digitalization and managing outsourced processes is another capability that we need to develop, right? Pawan spoke about how we used to have 100% workers in our factories before, and today you see a mix of employment avenues, right? So you have a full-time worker, you have a gig worker, you have contract workers, you have people who come in as consultants and go out, and it's a mixed bag today. It's a very different set of capabilities that we need in HR to manage this set today, right? So are we looking at all of that? And that's where we also need to see that we don't do this in isolation, right? I would never recommend looking at an HR function in isolation and then moving towards a digital capability. It's always in alignment with what business is doing. If there is an internal customer journey happening, let's say sales is moving to salesforce.com to measure their own analytics and take decisions on, let's say, replenishing products at the customer sites based on technology, that's the time for HR also to move in terms of people capabilities and using analytics for that, right? So that's where at least I have experienced this in one of my organizations. What can HR functions do and how can they do it? How can we shift towards the new ways of working? One in terms of capabilities and the other in terms of mindset, like I keep saying. It's about investing in these skills, right? How many of us have encouraged our HR colleagues to go and acquire these skills, right? If we haven't, the time to start is now, right? So, and also partner with other functions. And HR should not be in our own world, right? So if we are moving to digital, it's always wonderful to partner with another function which is similar to ours. It could be finance, supply chain, anyone who's partnering with business like us, and then try and make the journey a little more easier. So it's always important to partner with like-minded functions. In terms of implementation, look at platforms which allow consolidated insights. What do I mean by this? It only means that we have data in different pockets at the moment, right? So we have data everywhere. We have data within HR. Finance has a lot of data as well. Our sales functions have lots of data about people, about processes, about movements. If we can bring all of them together on a consolidated platform, and you have many suppliers who help us right now, this really helps us take decisions as HR folks in terms of what to do with people, what to manage in terms of talent movement, how to place the right person at the right location, how to bring in the right capability into the right jobs, right? So we'll be able to help business much better if we are able to have a consolidated platform. And a people strategy around agile, right? So very clearly, the thinking in terms of how we manage people's movements, we manage talent, we manage their capability is all around the concept of agile. And the last part, I'll say this again and again, if there is a trust that is built within our own function, if there's a trust built with our internal customers, I think then we have arrived. Now, whether it's moving partly to a digital setup, whether it's moving to 100% digital some point of time, whether it's HR 2.2 or 2.3 or 2.1, it's very clear if there is a trust built within our own function and also with our internal customers, I think we will be ready for moving to a digital state of mind. Collaboration, this is something that is really built with the digital aspect. Digital helps us become more and more collaborative, not just within the HR function, but also with internal customers that we might have, right? So bring in the combined strengths of the HR capabilities. So different functions within HR, especially in large organizations, tend to have disparate ways of looking at digital. Bringing everyone together and seeing some, it's ensuring that we also collaborate in certain areas which otherwise we would not. For example, if I take a comp and ben function and I have a talent management function, bringing them together on a common platform is a little easier when we have a digital platform available to us within the HR function, right? So I'm just advocating that we bring all our sub-functions together so that they work together. Today, a lot of these functions roll up into a CHRO, and that CHRO, she or him, is actually tasked with the whole idea of putting all the data together and then taking a decision, right? What I'm saying is that this can be done at a very different level altogether if we have digital. And of course, going beyond the HR function, ensuring that processes within the HR function are also tied into processes with other functions like IT, finance, supply chain, etc. And this really helps us move forward on the digital journey for the entire company and not just HR. And like I was saying before, if in HR we are a little ahead in terms of the digital space, it's always a little easier to help other functions do this. A lot of functions look towards HR as the transformation function as well. The right external partner is extremely important. Yeah? We may not have the capabilities within the HR function to make it digital. It's extremely important that we choose the right external partner who can help us do that. The last part, when do we do this? It's right now. I think if we are not thinking about this, a lot of us are late. The idea is to just communicate. It's informing all our employees before, well in advance. It's not about the HR function, it's about every employee, because every employee is going to be impacted when we go into digital. And continue the conversation in a certain way so that we are very clear where the mindset should be, where the culture should be, and then of course we keep it going, right? So it's just a simple model saying that if we keep communicating, we keep asking our internal customers about how it's going. Is digital helping you? Are the HR functions up in arms in terms of how digital is moving forward? Are they really using data for insights and taking decisions? This really helps us move forward. Very quickly, last one, I won't go through this totally, but there are 3 pillars that I really used in my last organization where we really moved the HR function quite a bit into the digital transformation. A lot of it was about being collaborative and agile, and it also means that I have a model which is different from what I have today. I have a very different model in HR, and in terms of service delivery, in terms of, let's say, ensuring that issues are taken care of, in terms of looking at the future, I have a very different model in HR as compared to today. The second is customer centricity. And this is all about ensuring that I have the skills in my team available to internal customers who can use them in the right way for their own journey, right? Whether it's moving digital or not, my internal customer should be able to use this very, very effectively. So very important that I have the right capabilities within the HR function. And lastly, the data insights. I think I mentioned it earlier as well. It's all about bringing in the right insights for my internal customers so that they could use it effectively in terms of managing people priorities and people practices. Yeah. So that's all I have for all of us today. I just kept it very, very brief, very high level. If there are any questions and if you can.
Thank you, Ravi, for your time and presentation. Yes.
Thank you.
We will take one or two quick questions. I still need you here, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ravi, for a wonderful talk about what you've done in your early organization. I'm sure you're looking at bringing it into your current organization as well. My question is a combination of some data point that was mentioned during Mr. Pawan's address as well as yours. So we're talking about a change in mindset, agility, and a culture change. And what is staring us in our face like a elephant in the room is the gigification. There's a lot of talk about 3 crore plus people getting into the gigification in the next couple of years. And we're also talking about a mindset change. We're talking about agility. How does it all come together? Because at this point, there seems to be a lot of resistance to this change. And we're talking about all of this. And I think it'll be very helpful to hear your point of view on that. I'm Dr. Sujata Mutana from Infosys.
Thank you, Sujata. Any change, and I think you know this as well as myself, any change, whether it's for good or for a different idea as well, is always coming up with resistance, right? So this is human. This happens. The real question is how do we tackle it? Yeah. So I'll go back a little bit to my previous organization. I'm pretty new in this organization, so haven't yet tackled that as yet. But clearly, it's all about what's in it for me. Okay, so and I think all of us in this room know about that. If I'm able to explain to you what's in it for you, if we move the needle on the HR function into something very different tomorrow, not only does it help my internal customer, but also helps you, then I think the discussion is going somewhere, right? And I think my last slide also spoke a little bit about how we need to communicate, how we need to bring the agenda into people's minds and have the discussions much before. I won't do it the Elon Musk way. I'm sure I'm sure a lot of us wouldn't want to do it that way. That's not the change that we are looking for. I think what we are looking for is that people are very clear that this is the change they want. Right? And it's not the change, Dr. Sujata, that we should bring from our side. I think the whole idea is that there's a whole room full of people who are not happy with the way HR is functioning at the moment. Right? Now, if we agree with that, then we move the needle and say, okay, where do we want to go? And we all sit together and discuss, how does HR look like, let's say, 2 years from now? Right? What are the tools we need? What are the capabilities we need? And how does it impact all of us in this room? Am I getting something out of it? Am I benefiting out of it? And I think that's the discussion one needs to have for any change. It's not just this change, and I think even an enterprise-wide change, the real thing is all about looking at the mindset, understanding where we are today, and then progressing towards where we want to go. Right? I don't know if I've answered your question. That's a very generic answer, but at least this is what we have used as a model in my previous organization. Getting people first into the discussion, and then also understanding that there are some people who will fall by the wayside. We were very clear that not all of us within HR would continue, and not all of us within HR would be happy with the change. But we took nearly a year and a half to do these discussions before actually going into a change. Bringing in a technology partner and bringing in some new processes and putting down a whole set of, all that the Deloittes and the Accentures of the world can do for you, very easy. That took us only 6 months, but 1.5 years was only discussions with people within HR in terms of where it's going, right? And then bringing people into roles which help the transformation, right? And then I get a buy-in, right? Otherwise, I don't get a buy-in. Does that help?
Thank you so much, Ravi. My name is Suhasini, and I'm working in one of the best organizations called Grant Thornton. Continuation to the question, you partially answered the question, but again, you spoke about upskilling, you spoke about the future workplace, which also means upskilling, which also means we need to give way to outsourcing, gig works, and so on and so forth. As HR, we are the custodians of policies too, right? So how agile, how flexible should we, especially when we're going to be driving culture when we are working with outsourcing and gig workers?
Great. So the first philosophy, Suhasini, right? Yes. So the first philosophy, Suhasini, that we should have is that the people who are outsourced, I think you're asking about them. Okay. So the people who are outsourced are also our people. Okay. They are my people, right? And I care for them the same way that I care for you. If that philosophy is clear, then we move to something which says, okay, I have a personalized agenda for everyone, right? So I have gig workers, and I have a different set of policies for them. I have my regular workers, and I have a different set of policies for them. The Tatas do it beautifully. If you see the way their organizations are, they have different modes of employment. Policies are different for everyone. It's just that I need to be transparent with you, saying that there is a gig worker on the left, and on the right there is a permanent worker, and you're on contract and she is on a consultancy. I treat you all the same in terms of respect, in terms of how much value you bring to my organization, but you have a different policy and she has a different policy and he has a different policy. It's because the way the employment terms are. Right? As long as I'm clear about that, I think it's absolutely fine. And as long as you know that the other person has a different policy to look at, and you have a different one, and it is fair to both, I think it really works. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.